We have many U.S. college hockey players set to sign contracts and make their debuts before the end of the regular season. We're going to discuss who they are and where they're heading. Coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams. So if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Now that the U.S. college hockey season is coming to an end, we're seeing many guys that are either free agents or previously drafted and are going to be wrapping up their college careers, signing NHL contracts and making their debuts here before the end of the regular season. It seems to be a trend this year where a lot of teams are signing these guys to 2- and 3-year entry-level deals and letting them burn a year right away by making appearances before the end of this current regular season. Many of the players we're going to discuss today were previously drafted by NHL clubs and are finally signing their entry-level contracts now that their college careers are coming to an end. Obviously, some guys decide to stay in college, whether it be 1 year, 2, 3, 4, it just depends on their personal situation. But many of them here are signing contracts in the coming days. Some have already and will be making their debuts as early as this week or very shortly. And then there's also some college free agents who were not drafted or have chosen to become free agents because they did not sign with their previously drafted teams that we'll be discussing here today. So let's jump in here. We've got about 5 or 6 players to take a look at. Obviously, we had some other college players recently signed that we've already done videos for. So we'll quickly just do a quick little recap there. And if you haven't checked out the other videos, you can do so at the end of this one. There'll be a link on the end screen to check out our playlist that we've generated here for college hockey players. But we saw Ryan Donato, for example, has made a pretty good impact here with the Bruins. After his college season wrapped up, he signed with the Bruins. He's played in a few games and has scored already a few goals already for the Bruins, so he's looking really solid. We saw Christian Wolanin, who was a draft pick of the Senators a few years back, signed after his season finished up. He's had a chance to play a couple games for Ottawa and on the blue line, and he's looked pretty decent as well. So we're seeing some of these college players not only sign their contracts, but make their debut and make an impact with their current clubs. So it's nice to see, and we've got a bunch more that we're going to be seeing here over the next coming days. Now, not all these players are not all officially signed, but for the most part, their seasons have come to an end or will be shortly. So we should expect to see contracts announcements either, if not already, then very shortly, and debuts before the end of the season. So let's jump in. All right, so we're going to start off here with the players who were previously drafted by NHL clubs and are going to the teams that originally drafted them, and then we'll get into free agents here on the end. So let's jump in. So we've got Henrik Bergstrom with the Florida Panthers. Now, he is going to be a dynamic player. It sure looks like he will be. He's a center iceman. Bergstrom was drafted 23rd overall back in 2016. He's a fairly big guy, 6'3", 190 pounds. You're probably more than likely going to add a little bit of weight on as he continues to finish his development here. But I mean, he's a big guy at 6'3". He's very agile, though. He's 20 years old. He was originally from Finland and has come over to play some college hockey in the U.S. He had 52 points in 40 games with the University of Denver this past season. Denver's season just wrapped up here in the last couple of days. So it's very well likely going to be a third-line center. I mean, not necessarily, though. He could be put on the wing. I mean, obviously, down the middle, they're pretty strong. They got Barkov and Trocheck, 1-2 in Florida. I believe that they've been using Jared McCann a lot as a number 3 center. So they could opt to put Bergstrom in that number 3 role, maybe move McCann down or to the wing, or they could opt to try Bergstrom on the wing as well. Hard to say exactly what they're going to do, but in college hockey, at least, he was a very solid two-way player with a really good offensive upside. So the Florida Panthers have themselves another tremendous prospect here that can jump into their lineup and help them here with their push for the Stanley Cup playoffs. I mean, obviously, they're nipping at the heels here, the New Jersey Devils. They've got a couple games in hand, and adding another kid with a lot of offensive upside who's also responsible defensively should give them a nice boost. So I fully suspect that contract. I don't believe that contract's officially signed as of yet, but that should hopefully be done here soon over the next couple of days, and hopefully he'll get into a game before the end of this week. For Florida Panther fans, keep your eyes open for Henrik Bergstrom. He looks like he's going to be a great player. Hopefully his previous experience translates into the NHL, and he turns out to be as good as he appears to be. Now, another player that's probably fairly well known from his days in the Olympics and the World Junior Championships is Troy Terry, who's an Anaheim Ducks prospect. Troy Terry normally plays center ice. He's 20 years old. He's pretty much what you call a shootout specialist. So in the NHL, that's going to come in handy. In the World Junior Tournament, he had a lot of big shootout goals and attempts for the U.S. a couple of years ago. Like I said, he got the great experience of going over and play with the Olympic team in Pyeongchang this past winter here. He ended up with 5 assists in 5 games. So really one of the better players for the U.S. Even though the team didn't do all that well, their younger players like Troy Terry certainly looked pretty solid and had a really good showing. And I would imagine that was really good for his development here. But obviously his college season has now come to an end, and it looks like the Ducks are looking to sign him and get him into the lineup as well. Troy Terry's college season was very productive this year. He had 48 points in 39 games. He was originally a 5th round pick back in 2015, but the guy's really fast. He's good at shootouts. Should be probably going to start off in the bottom 6 role with the Ducks, but I think he stands a chance to be a pretty solid NHLer. In our past videos talking about top prospects, between Troy Terry and Sam Steele, definitely 2 players for the Ducks to keep your eyes out for. So for Ducks fans, you're more than likely getting Troy Terry into your lineup here very soon, and you have a lot to look forward to. He's going to be a fun player to watch at the NHL level. Now let's jumping over to the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks have another gem on the way. He's not officially signed as of yet, but it's Adam Gaudette, who is playing at Northeastern University and is expected to be a finalist for the Hobey Baker Trophy. He's 21 years old. He was originally drafted back in 2015, back in the 5th round, which was the same round that you saw Troy Terry go to the Anaheim Ducks. He's had a fantastic season at Northeastern. He has 60 points in 38 games. He's a very fast and very strong skater. He typically goes hard to the net. He's got very quick feet, good acceleration, and a pretty good shot. So, I mean, Adam Gaudette is another guy that's going to slot into that Canucks lineup, get his feet wet a little bit this year. Kind of following in the footsteps of Brock Boeser. I mean, obviously, Brock Boeser played college hockey, got a small sample in last year. Like, look how he came out this year. So, I mean, the Canucks are definitely going to be a team to watch, a team on the rise. If many of their prospects turn out to be as good as they appear to be, that team is going to be very dangerous here over the next couple of years. I mean, we've already seen development from Bo Horvat and Brock Boeser. You've got Elias Pettersson on the way. You've got Adam Gaudette. And there's others too. Like there's certainly more than just them. But you take that team in Vancouver. They just seem to be. Jim Benning, I think, got a bit of a bad rap early on in his tenure as the general manager of the Canucks. But in all honesty, they've drafted incredibly well. And this team actually looks to be poised for a big boost here once a lot of their kids get some experience. So keep your eyes open for Adam Gaudette. He's probably one of the higher profile players here coming out of college hockey into the NHL here very shortly. Now we have another guy he's a real big player, a guy that we've talked about here before in our prospect videos, and that's Jordan Greenway. He was a Minnesota Wild draft pick. He was playing at Boston University. Unfortunately, their season is now over. Obviously, Boston University has a lot of players on that team that will likely become NHL players. Like another one would be Brady Tkachuk, who was going to be a top pick in this year's NHL draft. But Greenway was a 2nd round pick back in 2015 to the Minnesota Wild. He's a real big guy, 6'5", 238 pounds. He had 35 points in 36 games, so pretty much a point per game player this year in college hockey. He played for the Team USA in the World Junior Championships a year ago. He also played in the 2018 Winter Olympics for Team USA along with Troy Terry. Had a pretty good showing. Didn't record a lot of points in the Olympic tournament, but looked pretty solid. So he's a big guy. I don't project him to be a top 6 guy. I think he's going to be a pretty solid 3rd line player if I had to project Greenway. But he's a big guy. He's and for his size, he moves well. And he certainly has an offensive upside as well. So, I mean, he could develop into a modern-day power forward. It's certainly possible. But if I had to pick, I think he's going to be more of a 3rd-line guy. But the Minnesota Wild, I mean, one thing to watch with Minnesota, and especially in past playoff series, like they're not a real huge team. And he's certainly going to add that size and strength. Like, I mean, I'm not sure you're going to compare him on the ice, but physically, he kind of reminds me of Dustin Byfuglien. Just on his appearance and his size and the look to him and everything. I'm not sure he's going to be that exact same kind of player on the ice. I mean, Byfuglien's a little bit of a unique player. Anyway, he should be signing with the Minnesota Wild here any day, and should also be making his debut here before too long as well. So Minnesota Wild fans, keep your eyes open for Jordan Greenway. Another guy here is 22 years old, center iceman Dillon Sakura, Chicago Blackhawks property, who should be signing with the Hawks. Actually, that contract might actually be completed. And he's also expected to be a finalist for the Hobey Baker Trophy. He played at Northeastern University as well. So he's obviously a teammate of Adam Gaudette. But he is a 2014 pick, originally back in the 6th round. So a lot of these guys were late picks And I think a lot of teams don't want to use their higher picks, even though they might project to be good players, when they know they're going to have to wait 3 or 4 years going through the college system. But certainly some of these guys come out of the college system looking like they have certainly star potential. So we'll see how these guys do, but they're certainly on paper and based on what they performed at the other level, look pretty solid. So Sakura was a very big offensive star with Northeastern, 54 points in 35 games. He's certainly in Chicago going to have a shot at playing in the top 6. Considering where the team is at, they're going to be missing the playoffs, and they certainly have nothing but time here to audition younger players for what they have in their system to see what they've got going forward. So I fully suspect him to get into however many games he can, probably 6, 7 games, whatever they have left on their schedule, 8 games, whatever it is. I would think he's probably going to be making his debut this week as well. Like I said, I imagine he's going to be getting some first and second line ice time just to see where he fits with other players and to see where they think he could fit going into next year moving forward. But Sakura certainly looks to be have a high potential to be a decent offensive star in the NHL. Another player coming out of college that just signed here is Buffalo Sabres center Casey MIttlestadt. Now Casey MIttlestadt is arguably one of the top prospects outside of the NHL at all. He represented the USA at the World Junior Championships in the past. He's a very dynamic, highly skilled center iceman. Certainly a player that the Buffalo Sabres desperately need, so it's great that they're getting him signed. I don't think it's been confirmed as of yet because he just signed this morning, but I would fully suspect that they will get him into a few games here before the end of the year to give him a little bit of a look. But he is expected. I believe he signed a 3-year entry-level contract. The news just broke as I was recording this video, so the full details are not necessarily fully available right now. But Casey MIttlestadt has signed with Buffalo and will be reporting to the team very shortly. So that's a huge signing for Sabres fans. He's going to be the #1 center likely in that team very shortly. I mean, you throw in Ryan O'Reilly and Casey MIttlestadt in their center ice position, and it looks a lot better with him in the lineup. He'll be a key role in helping that team generate a lot more offense. So those are the top guys. As I mentioned here, a couple had already signed, like Donato and Wallinen, and these guys are either signed or expected to sign here between today, tomorrow, or the next couple of days here for sure. For a lot of them, it's just a matter of getting the fine details done up in their contracts. All of these guys are rumored and fully expected to sign. Now, the other big name out there is Daniel Berkeley. Now, Berkeley is a fairly big name defenseman who's going to be a free agent, or is a free agent right now, and is talking with NHL clubs. His college season is over as well. Berkeley is going to be a fairly big defenseman, I think, in the NHL. It certainly has a lot of potential. Berkeley has as many as 5 teams that he's narrowed it down to. There are some teams that apparently have been told that they're not going to be one of the ones under consideration. One of those was the Buffalo Sabres, which is really unfortunate. It seems like Buffalo's having a hard time attracting some free agents. Another team that was rumored heavily interested was Mark Bergstrom, the Montreal Canadiens, and I've been reading that they're not going to be considered as well. Obviously, the Habs certainly could use some D. He'd be a big help, but I've been told, and from what I've been reading online, looks as though the Habs are not going to be in on Brickley. He's got it down to 5 teams, and they're all US-based teams, so Brickley's not coming to Canada. So if I had to speculate, and this is strictly speculation, because it has not been made public or leaked to the best of my knowledge, what the teams that are being considered, like who they actually are for sure. But based on what I've read and just my own speculation on my knowledge of the situation, I would say the Detroit Red Wings have to be one of them. I know Ken Holland had been rumored to be very interested as well. Obviously, they're a younger, trying to get younger. They're rebuilding, so I mean that would be a good opportunity for him to step up and get some minutes and play a bigger role. So I think the Red Wings are a possibility. You can never count out the New York Rangers, especially when with college free agents. Anybody who, like, you know, the Big Apple is just a place that a lot of players want to go to, want to play on that big stage. And obviously they could use some help on D as well. I mean, they've made a lot of trades, and they could certainly use a player like Berkeley. I would not count out the Minnesota Wild. I wouldn't count out the Bruins either. And I wouldn't count out even the Islanders. I mean, to be honest, the Islanders need some D. I can't say for sure that they're in on him trying to get him signed, but they should be based on what they need on their team and on their roster. That's another team that should certainly be considering trying to get him under contract. So hard to say for sure. Leave some comments down below. What do you think is the most likely destination we're going to see Brickley go? I mean, he's by far the biggest free agent name of this college free agent class that's going to be available here in the next little while. There are going to be some other free agents coming up as well, but none of them are quite to the level of Brickley and some of the other guys we talked about. So we'll talk about those guys as things happen in additional videos here, updates as those guys' season ends and as they find NHL contracts or NHL homes. But expect to see a bunch of new guys making their NHL debuts over the next week or so as these contracts get finalized and they get these kids into the lineup. So if you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams. There's plenty of content here for everyone to enjoy, so please consider that if you're new. If you haven't done so already, check us out on social media. You're going to find our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and all those accounts are linked down below in the description, so check those out. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.